Hey YouTube family and GN subs, hope you're doing well. I got some great news for you as always. My good news subscribers, you guys are with me from the beginning through COVID, and I will continue to give you good news. And we have some today for you, believe it or not. Supreme Court of the United States, we call them SCOTUS. Supreme Court of the United States has made an outstanding ruling for migrants that immigration, ICE just cannot pick you up and deport you out of the United States. There is due process that must be followed, which means you have a right to notice of what charges are being held against you, and you have a right to a hearing. That is fantastic. A new Supreme Court case, folks. That is precedent that has overturned a prior Supreme Court decision during wartime. I'm going to tell you all about it. Those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Humberto or Gray, attorney here in Los Angeles, specializing in immigration law within the entertainment and business space. And I've been doing this for quite some time, and I have enjoyed making content for my YouTube channel. And we are getting closer to 100,000 subscribers. Thank you to my good news subscribers. You guys are awesome. And we got a lot to get to today. So let's get at these Supreme Court decisions. Let me break it down for you and tell you exactly what's happening. All right, so the first decision by the Supreme Court was with the Garcia case. Supreme Court has spoken and said, bring him home, bring him back to the United States. So the Garcia case, just for those of you, I'll break it down for you. The Garcia case is the individual who was granted withholding of deportation from the immigration judge. That means he cannot be removed from the United States to El Salvador. Well, what ICE did, this administration, they picked him up and they removed him. They removed him. His 5-year-old autistic child was in the car. ICE came and said, hey, you better get your wife here in 20 minutes because we're taking you in and we're removing you. So without a hearing, without any notice, they removed him mistakenly. The government attorney admitted that he removed him mistakenly. It was an administrative error. They removed him to CCOT. This is a prison in El Salvador, folks, for terrorists. So the government said, look, we made a mistake. Prior judge says, bring him back. And the government says, well, we can't. He's in El Salvador. We mistakenly deported him and we can't get him back. Well, the Supreme Court just ruled. Supreme Court said, bring him back. Facilitate the means by which to get him back to the United States to be with his family. That is a great ruling, folks. They just can't pick you up and remove you without any due process. That's great. I put a link in the description box here below to the Wall Street Journal article that talks about this, gives you a lot of detail. Go check it out and read it, all right? Case number 2, Supreme Court speaks and makes law. This is such an important case, folks. I'm going to break it down for you, okay? So you know the Venezuelan cases where they removed the Venezuelans without proper notice, okay? Sent them back to CCOT, this prison that we've been speaking of. Horrible place without notice, right? So Supreme Court has made a decision and has made breaking law. There's 2 things that you have to look at here. Number 1 is jurisdiction, the ruling on jurisdiction. We'll get into that. And number 2 is on due process. That is the most important one, folks. And so let's talk a little bit about jurisdiction. So the judge said jurisdiction lies where the alien is detained. Well, the aliens are detained in El Salvador, right? So you can't bring a suit in El Salvador for habeas corpus. Habeas corpus means bring out the corpse, bring out the body from prison. One part of the ruling then is jurisdiction will lie in D.C. That's where the judge initially made his ruling. One of the individuals were detained in Texas, but again, what smart lawyers are going to do is they're going to make it a class action suit. They will file, for example, in D.C. They'll make it a class action suit, and they'll bring all the defendants who are in El Salvador together so a judge can hear the case and hopefully order them, and I think this will happen, right? Looking at the first case, order them back to the United States. All right, let's talk about the second due process ruling. This is the most important one, folks. This is breaking law, okay? The judge said basically, individuals, doesn't matter if you're a gang member, it doesn't matter if you're a terrorist, it doesn't matter who you are. You have a right to due process. What does that look like and what does that mean? Now, by the way, this is a 9-0 ruling. Every single Supreme Court justice said that individuals have a right to due process. It was 9-0. Supreme Court justices says that there is a due process right. So what does that look like? So what that looks like is before an individual is shipped off and being detained in El Salvador, they have a right, number one, to notice of the charges that are being brought against them. And number two, they have a right to a hearing in front of a judge. So basically, a judge needs to determine, number one, they're being charged under the Alien Enemies Act, the AEA. A judge will make a ruling. Does the AEA apply in this case? Is there a war? Is there a military invasion? A judge is going to say no. Case is over. They can't remove the individual, okay? Number two, if the judge says, yes, the AEA applies, then we have to determine whether or not this individual is an alien enemy, right? These are not alien enemies. I don't think any court will rule that they are. So again, the most important part is they have a right to due process. Now, there's a case back in World War II, Korematsu. They detained a U.S. citizen, Korematsu, put him in the military facility, did not give him any due process, and the Supreme Court ruled in that case that he did not have any due process, basically, that they could detain him under wartime. That has now been overturned. That is wonderful, folks. I think that is the hallmark of our democracy. Now what we see is the third branch of government, the judiciary, is stepping in and checking the executive and these unlawful executive orders. This is fantastic, folks. It's a great day, and we're going to keep you updated on what's going on. There's a lot of moving parts here, a lot of stuff to unpack for you. I'm here for you, and hey, today we have a victory. So thank you, YouTube family and GN subs, for watching GrayLaw TV. Click below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.